Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and welcome to Bend, Oregon, and the new Mack Anthem. Yeah, this just dropped today. It's free if you own base game. You don't have to buy it. They are calling it a DLC or a workshop item or something. I don't know, but you don't have to buy it or anything. You just get it. You do have to. I restarted Steam to get it to download. It seemed like it was kind of hung up there somewhere along the line, but yeah, it did eventually download. It comes in a bunch of different variations, of course, different wheelbases, different cabs, and this is rigged right now as kind of a log truck. So we've got a shorter wheelbase, smaller fuel tanks, and a day cab on it. And we went with mostly blacked out trim and blacked out wheels and give it that sort of utilitarian look, although we do have our seafoam green, mint green, corporate green. And I'll tell you a little bit more about why we are in a log truck as we get rolling here. We're in Bend, we're headed up to Yakima. And anything else? Oh yeah, we've got an MP8 motor in this at 445 horsepower, and it is a Mack motor. I'll tell you about that as well as we get rolling. So we'll hop in here, take a look around carefully. For some reason, my controller seems extra sensitive lately. I'm not super happy about it, so I'm trying to move very carefully, very slowly, give you an idea of what this looks like on the inside. Yeah, nice. And like the Renault T, this is based on the advanced model that SCS is using now. So it is, it's just, I guess, a different way of doing the modeling. And it's got the accessories when we get into skinning, it's got the accessories in different places. If you're not skinning, that's not really a big deal. But it's just a new way of doing things, a new way of building the 3D models, I suppose. So I can tell you a little bit about the Mack Anthem. I'm by no means an expert. This is what I just looked up. But they started making this truck in 2018. It's a very contemporary truck, very modern truck. I really like the look of it. I can't say that I'm specifically a Mack fan. I tend to be more of a Peterbilt fan, you know that. But I like the brand, you know. It's definitely something very American about it. It's a very cool brand. It's been around for a long time too, since about 1900, I want to say. So yeah, they got some history. It's an icon, no doubt, and I like it when iconic old companies make very modern, very contemporary equipment. I think that's very cool. Get right through here. So, what can I tell you about the truck? It's got, like I was just saying, it's got a very sort of rough look to it, almost like a brutal look, but it's very aerodynamic, very slippery from what I understand. It gets great fuel economy, great fuel efficiency, which is really important, particularly to owner-operators. You know, you got to make every penny count, and it's a very slippery truck in the wind, but it does have that sort of more classic look to it. And as I understand it, when the Streamliners first started showing up, what's it been, about 10 years, 15 years? When the Streamliners first started showing up in the United States, a lot of the old school truck drivers were sort of, you know, they didn't like the look of them. They thought they looked silly. But once you see those numbers, once you see what they can do for your wallet, for your bank account, you get on board. And they're a lot quieter inside too. Visibility's better. A lot of things to like about them. And that also, I guess, leads to, brakes, leads to something else that I thought was very interesting. When I was on the Mack website, I saw transmissions for this truck. They have 3 available, I want to say. And all 3 of them are automatics, which was also kind of surprising. A good friend of mine is a truck driver, long-haul trucker, and when I was talking to him about it when I first started getting into truck sim, I mentioned that some of the European trucks have automatic transmissions. And he said, yeah, more and more American trucks do as well. And I was curious how the old-timers would feel about that, right? Like with the Streamliners, they didn't like it. So I assumed they wouldn't like automatic transmissions just the same. Hang on, I got to put some windows up, and I have to take my hand off the gamepad to do this. We're going to just coast on our momentum here for a minute, get the windows up. I assumed it would be like car guys. Car guys don't like automatic transmissions. They barely like paddle shifters, right? You gotta row your own gears down there. That's old school, right? I figured it's the same way for truckers. And he said, no, not at all. They love them. They love them because so many of these guys, it's just a job, you know. It's they just do it for a living. They don't care about, you know, showing off or being cool. They want it to be as easy and as painless as possible. And some of these guys, I mean, literally painless because their knees are so jacked up from running that clutch for 20 years or however long they've been driving. The idea of flipping a switch, putting it in gear, and you don't have to work that clutch. And it's not, again, it's not like a passenger car, but you know, maybe a little bit more travel or maybe a little bit stiffer. It's like a whole different process to shift gears in a truck. And being in traffic, right? Like being stuck in traffic in a city, or you know, passing through or near a city on an interstate, and there's an accident, a traffic jam, and you're sitting in traffic just pumping that clutch for like an hour. It's exhausting, and it really messes up your knees. So yeah, automatic transmissions are where it's headed for heavy trucks, and apparently truckers think that's just great. They're very okay with that. So that is interesting. I haven't seen any sound packs for the truck yet. It's only been out for me for about half an hour. So they'll be around, I assume, tonight sometime. And I know Rabbinicus had a ton of sound packs available when 1.37 beta came out. And I'm hoping that he or she, they, them, I'm hoping they do a sound pack for this as well, because everything I've heard for their 1.37 sound packs has been awesome. So looking forward to hearing these Mack motors through their, I don't know, artistic vision, creative vision. We'll see how it all works out. And I'm trying to think what else. I did build another of these, another Mack Anthem, because we're sitting on about $2 million, and we've got garages everywhere. We've got plenty of slots to plug trucks into. So I did build another one, very tall cab, long haul truck, big tanks, long wheelbase, the whole deal. So we'll see that probably next ATS episode. We'll get that going. And what is this? It's telling me to exit and then get right back on. I can see that from here. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it because I'm pretty sure it's telling me to exit and then re-enter. Yeah, okay. I don't know why it does that sometimes, but it does. And we're waiting for the speed limit to kick up a little bit. Are we on an interstate? Are we not? We're still at 45 miles per hour. We'll wait for it to kick over. What else is going on? What else? We've got another truck. No word yet. I say this every episode. No word yet on... All right. On Iberia and Idaho, and now Colorado. But I'm guessing, I mean, they haven't even announced a date yet, but I'm guessing that will happen fairly soon. And as soon as I know, I'll let you know, although you'll probably know as soon as I do, because I know you're into this stuff. Looking forward to it. I mean, you know I am. I'm just amazed with how well SCS has taken care of us. And I'm not, I have to say this every episode too, I'm not a fanboy. SCS is not a perfect company, and Truck Sim is by no means a perfect sim or a perfect game. I just really like it, and I think they do a really good job with things like this. You know, this didn't cost us anything, and I know it cost them money. I know they put money into it, but it didn't cost us anything. And I think that's great. That's the way you take care of your customers. If it was a $9.99 or a $4.99 DLC, I certainly would have bought it, even though this isn't my favorite brand or my preferred brand. Yeah, definitely. You know, they take care of us. I've got no problem doing what I can to contribute back to their success. So yeah, they're a company that I think is doing it the right way, and I'm very confident that Iberia and Idaho will be some good-looking DLC when they get here. And what else is going on? Something. I was thinking about all the content that they're making for, you know, we can make a right turn on red here in America. I was thinking about all the content that they're making. And I got to thinking about the Train Simulator franchise. Different developer. But there is, I believe there are 300 DLC for the Train Simulator franchise, which is now current. I mean, it's Train Simulator 20. It's at least Train Simulator 19. I think it may be Train Simulator 20. But it is, it's a pretty dated looking game. And I guess we can talk about this a little bit as we continue rolling here, but different people have different ideas of what makes a good video game. And when you think about sim gaming, I think for some people, the quality of the sim experience is more important than graphics and some other things, as long as what you can do in the game is very true to life. I think for some people, that's what they're really after. And you look at the success of something like iRacing, which is a very realistic game, but not the best looking game, and you contrast it to something like Gran Turismo Online or Forza Online, and they're not nearly as much of a sim experience. They look a lot better. It's really two different audiences, two different markets. So the Train Simulator franchise, as I understand it, is very accurate. The bugs have been cleaned out of the game, and it gives you a very accurate, very realistic train driving experience. And that's why people continue to play it and continue to love it. And there's all that content for it, but it does look a little bit dated. It's a little long in the tooth. So I look at something like Truck Sim, either ATS or ETS, and I think we're getting all this great content for it. And where is that going to leave us in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years? And I really have thought about this. If they were to re-up the game, reboot the game, right? International Truck Simulator, would all the content that we've already bought be included? Or if they have to redo everything, would we have to rebuy everything, right? And that has been the model with Codemasters. I'm sorry, not Codemasters, Dovetail. Dovetail is the developer and publisher of Train Sim World. So as we're getting, I guess, deeper and deeper, whoa, that was a little unnerving. As we're getting deeper and deeper into the game, and ETS is what, 8 years old now? And ATS is about 6 years old, I want to say. 5, 6 years old? Yeah, it's got a few miles on it, but I think it's still a great looking game. And this new 1.38, the new patch, the next patch that we're supposed to see, in the same way that 1.37 was all about sound, 1.38 is supposed to be all about the way the game looks. And I think they've impressed me so far. What if 1.38 is visually just, you know what I mean? Just a whole new world. It's still an older game. And I love the idea of keeping games alive for as long as we can. But I would hate to see ATS and ETS in the position that the Train Simulator franchise is in, where people love it, there's a ton of content for it, but it's like we just can't let it go. And because we can't let it go, because we keep playing it, because we keep buying DLC for it, the developer keeps polishing it, right? They try to keep it going for us. But it's never going to be a new game, a modern game. So I really wonder, at what point is SCS going to begin pulling the plug on ATS? I see people that not only are they not interested in being part of the beta program, but they don't even want to run the current version of the game. So we're on 1.37 full release now. There are people that are running 1.32, and you think, oh, you're missing out on all these things. Like for right now, you're missing out on Fmod, you're missing out on windows that go up and down. I remember when they added air hoses, right, and electrical, and that was kind of a big deal. You're missing out on all these things. Advanced coupling, right? You're missing out on that stuff. And they say, yeah, but my favorite truck mod it's only ever been brought up to 1.3 whatever, right? And so that's what I play. I have no interest in bringing the game any further forward than that. And that's, I guess, the bigger issue, and something that continues to be on my mind is the idea of balancing a game and making a game all things to all people. And when I think about that, I always think about it from our side as consumers, right? How do developers balance the two different markets, right? On the one side, you've got casual gamer, which is a bigger market, even though they may play the game less hours or play it for a while and then fade away from it. They're not the core user, the core audience for that game. And on the other side, you have the core audience that plays the game a ton, but they only buy it once. And now we've got some, DLC models, microtransactions. So you can get money out of a core audience member differently than you could when you just bought a game on DVD and that was it, right? You paid for the game once and then that was it. And if you played it a lot, the developer got no more money from you than they did from somebody who bought it home, bought it, brought it home, bought it, brought it home, had played it, yeah, played it for a little while and then moved on. You got the same amount of money from both those customers, so there was really no need to split the difference. You just made a game. But in the same way that big-time Hollywood movies have these test audiences, where when you see a movie, that movie was shot with 4 or 5 different endings. There may have been other characters that were in it that you never see, all kinds of stuff going on. It's less about being true to an artistic vision, being authentic to an artistic vision, than it is about recovering the $250 million that you put into making that film. So when video games were just labors of love, and obviously, of course, they were always intended to make money, but when they were just things that artists and studios did, right, that's a completely different animal than something like Red Dead Redemption 2 being in development for, 3 years, 4 years, tens of millions of dollars, GTA 6, if it ever happens, Star Citizen. You've got to be able to, almost flipped it. You've got to be able to sell those games. And so you need to be mindful of your audience. But when I think about, balancing between the two halves of your audience, of the people that are going to buy the game, your customers, I forget sometimes that developers have a vision as well. And they've got something that they're feeling, right? They've got an idea of what the game is going to look like when it's done. And I was thinking, I guess, what is that? Sympathy? Empathy? It's one of the two. But I was thinking, what must it be like for a developer to have this grand vision for a game or for a sim, and every time you try to push it out on Steam and beta, you get feedback that says take it in a different direction if you want us to buy it. And it's like, but no, you gotta buy it the way I want to make it. And that's not always the case. And there are very talented singers and songwriters, musicians, painters, actors, right? Screenwriters, people that write plays. They're very talented and they have a vision, but they can't quite connect with an audience. And they're true to their vision. And there's something very noble about that. But they're true to their vision in a way that, for lack of a better word, audiences reject their work. Maybe not because it's bad. Maybe it's just ahead of its time. Who knows? It's being packaged wrong. It's being put in front of the wrong people. But nobody's interested in it. And those people stay true to their vision. So for me as a gamer, I can think of games off the top of my head that they're very true to their vision. But as a gamer, they're not necessarily the most approachable games. They're not necessarily the most fun. And so split the difference on that, right? Because I continue to come at it from a consumer perspective. And I forget that these people are people, the people that are making these games for us, they're people. And they do have ideas and they do have passions, So it's something to keep in mind. It's, just because we're spending money on something, we can buy something, we can not buy something. I guess that's the simplest calculus that we can apply on our end. But I think we need to remember that what we're buying might be the most important thing to somebody, the most important thing they've ever done, something they've committed themselves to, and maybe something they've had working in their mind since they were in high school or college or whatever. And so it's not that we just like whatever's put in front of us. Oh, barely. It's not that we just like and accept whatever's put in front of us. But I think we also need to remember that from time to time, we need to be honest about the fact that something is quality It's just not for us. It's not that it's bad or wrong or broken. It's just not for us. I think it's too easy in the age of the internet to just sort of go buck wild on anything that we don't like or don't agree with and say that it's just total crap. And it takes a little discipline for us as consumers to say, yeah, it's good. It's just not for me. Death Stranding, I think. I don't even understand that game. But it's the vision and the project of somebody with a great deal of passion and a great deal of talent. I just don't get it. Right? Fallout 76, yeah, that just sucked. But something like Death Stranding, I don't think it did suck. I think it just wasn't for me. And I didn't buy it. But if I had bought it and tried to play it, as frustrating as it may be when a game doesn't click for you, and as easy as it may be to rage and throw down the controller and say this sucks, this is stupid. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it does suck and it is stupid. But for me personally, I think I want to be more mindful of the fact that, like I said, that's somebody's baby. That's somebody's project that they really put a lot of time and effort into. And maybe they did it for you, maybe they did it for themselves, but they did do it. So that's something I'm going to try in the future to include that in the equation as well. Is this game being mindful enough of the core audience? Is this game being mindful enough of the casual audience? And are we being mindful enough of the developer and their vision? Maybe try to get it a little bit more. And let me see where we're at for time. We're at 22 minutes. Let's, I don't know how far out we are. Let's go till 30 minutes. If we're seeing signs for Yakima, we'll just go ahead and finish. But if we haven't even seen signs or exits yet for Yakima, there's one for Yakima. Let's see over here. Right through here. There we go. Still climbing. Let's find a good gear here. There we go. There's one. I didn't think it was quite that steep. I guess it's like, I don't know, like watching a movie all the way through when it's not working for you. Let me just give it a chance. Maybe I'm seeing this from the wrong angle, or listening to. That's how I know I'm getting old, because I don't remember album rock. That was before my time. Concept albums, that sort of thing. But I do know that when you had to buy a record, right, like way back in the day, you had to buy a CD, you got the whole thing. And I think it was easier for a musician to make something that was, right, the whole thing was meant to be together. Now that it's, this age of digital delivery, I think it's a lot easier to just make little things. Smaller commitments. 3 or 4 minute songs. You want one, you buy one. It's great for consumers, right? Why should I buy a whole CD when I only want one song? Great, just buy one song. But I think artists, musicians, got a little spoiled by that, and they started focusing more on making one good song that would sell versus putting all that time into making a cohesive record. But there are some albums that you really need to get on board the whole thing. You can't just listen to one song and say, "Oh no, that sucks." It's bigger than that. So I'm gonna try to apply that same sort of methodology to gaming. It's tough, man. It's tough, and something else that is really this comes up a lot. There goes my voice. Really good. 24 minutes. This comes up a lot on the channel. It's something that I think about a great deal. Is that I think most developers, most publishers would prefer that you only play their game. The game that they make is the only game you play until, so glad there was no traffic right there, until they release the next game, and then that is the only game you play. Games are so big now. It's one of those be careful what you wish for moments. We wanted games to be bigger, more complex, more comprehensive. We wanted more lore. We wanted more backstory. We wanted more characters, right? More tasks, more modifications, more things that we could do, more upgrades, right? We wanted all that. Well, the technology exists now, and with digital delivery and 100 gig games, we got it. We wanted bigger worlds. We got it. And now it's like, God damn, I got to go from one side of this map to the other. Are you kidding me? That's going to take forever. It is, but that's what we wanted. Well, that works really well in the context of a game that is the only game you play. But it doesn't work so well when you sort of spread yourself around between a lot of games. And I think that's something else that can be really challenging is, as we were driving up here, I was thinking about immersing yourself in a game. Really, giving it a chance. Let's give it 20 or 30 hours. Well, if you only have an hour a day to game, as some people do, 20 hours is 3 weeks. And in 3 weeks, people that started playing the game the same day as you that can play 10 hours a day, they're going to be a lot further ahead than you. And I don't necessarily mean competitive games, but just in terms of knowing what's going on, right? Games are big and complex now. There's a lot to know and a lot to figure out. It's easy if that's all you do. It's a little harder if you do a lot of things. And I mean a lot of things as in having a life, and also a lot of things as in there's other games that you play. If you've got friends that play certain games, we're going to go down here now. Okay. We're basically there, and we're 26 minutes. So this, whoa, looked at the clock and almost wadded her up right there. All right, we're in Yakima. So yeah, it can be tricky. So when I say, just give a game a chance, just give it 40 hours. All right. I mean, games used to finish in 40 hours. And you hear talk now about 500-hour games or 1,000-hour games. God. I mean, if you, 1,000-hour game, if you play that game 3 hours a day, 7 days a week for a year, there's 1,000 hours. That is, it's not quite mental, but it's in the neighborhood. That's a big commitment. It really is. So, I don't know. I mean, I know there are some spirit animal games for me, right? There's some games that I play. As soon as I play them, it just clicks. I'm in. I'm all in on this. I'm 100% on board. What's a good one? iRacing. I was 100% on board. As frustrating as iRacing can be for me, I was 100% on board. Farm Sim. As soon as I played Farm Sim, I'm in. This is me. I'm good from here on out. So there are games like that, but even so, I do play other games. I do play other sims other than those. And it really can be tricky, to divide your time. I mean, if this was all I had to do, looking for my turn here. If this was all I had to do, like if I could make a living doing this, I don't know. I don't know how many hours a day would be kind of a maximum that I would want to spend in the chair. You think it's unlimited, but, like Jerry Seinfeld says, eventually, given enough time, everything just becomes work. It just becomes a job, and you're just doing it for a living. So, I don't know. That's what we do when we drive the truck. If you're new to the channel, that's what we do. We just talk about, I don't know, everything. Whatever comes to mind. What do you do when you drive? All right, now, if I remember this one, it is... Oh, they moved it. I guess there's 2 drop-offs here. I know there's another one further over. Let's go third person and scope things out a little bit. Let's see where we're at here. Oh, we do need to back this one in. And as always, that damn crane. Now, we got a shorter wheelbase, and I think this trailer... Yeah, this trailer's a little bit shorter, but look at the devious nature, the cunning nature of this layout. So we got this truck poking out there, and then right over here we got this crane. Just enough to, like, you can't be exactly where you'd like to be. You got to be where you can be. All right. So let's get this back in here. Oh, I forgot to tell you why we're driving a log truck. I'll tell you quickly as we're parking. So I did, I sort of cracked the code on skinning. And I did put a skin on one of our Viper 389s. We have 3 of them. And the first one that I skinned was our log truck. So I threw this log trailer on. And then, I don't know, I guess it's just the OCD. Once I had the log trailer on, I was just thinking about doing logging jobs. And so when the Mack Anthem dropped, I traded in our Viper 389 for this. I didn't sell it or anything. I just put it in another garage. We hopped in this Mack Anthem, but I kept the trailer. Because we were keeping a logging trailer, I went with a logging version of the Mack Anthem. There, that's what we did. We turned this off. I did get that in one swing. That's like 3 episodes in a row. It's madness, I tell you. Let's unload and see how we did. On time. No tickets. No damage. Feeling good about that. Some XP. There you have it, folks. Thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of American Truck Simulator. We'll see you next time. Take care now.